As the saying goes, anybody can be a father, but it takes a special man to be a dad. As soon as the sperm swims and hits the egg and forms a zygote, a man is considered a father, and the mother is responsible for the health and well-being of the fetus. However, after birth, the role and relationship of the mother and father become important in the child's development. Today, the family dynamic is changing along with the role that fathers have. Whether present or absent, fathers play pivotal roles in child development and upbringing. I will be talking about the father's role in different situations, from traditional to blended and even homosexual families. The differences in family dynamics may affect child upbringing. However, one family dynamic is not always better than another, and every family manages and operates in its own way. In common American households, the father is portrayed as a husband and provider, meaning he is married to the mother and works to bring home income for the family. This portrayal is in most media and advocated in most religions like Christianity. Thomas Aquinas, a Catholic philosopher, explains in The Purpose of Sex that it is appropriate to human nature that a man remain together with the woman after the generative act and not leave her immediately. He believes this to be true due to his stance on women not being equal or completely capable of bringing up a child on their own. In traditional households, the husband or the father goes to work and makes the money while the wife or the mother stays home and tends to the children in the home. Though 53% of American men are employed, the role of the father is shifting due to the fact that more women are leaning towards actively working rather than staying home with the kids. According to the Department of Labor, women make up about 47% of America's workforce. That's a lot of women not being home with their kids. The Pew Research Center also did a study on the increase of stay-at-home dads from 1989, and the numbers have increased from 1 to 2 million fathers that stay home with their children. Father involvement in children's lives has become an increasing issue and even founded an organization called the National Fatherhood Initiative that helps to educate men on fatherhood and connecting with their children. Compared to Aquinas' view of the father, modern society has evolved in seeing that fathers are not just piggy banks to provide for children and mothers, but fathers are important characters in child development. While knowing one's biological father is important, sometimes their presence is not always around. That is where other forms of father figures come into play. The Step Family Foundation states over 50% of families are remarried or recoupled, and 1 out of 2 marriages end in divorce. That's 50%. In blended families, the father and or the mother may be remarried and may even have children with their new partners. In these cases of divorce or separation of partners, the biological father's role tends to diminish. With that, the role of stepfather comes into the situation, changing the dynamic of the home. In a study done by Elizabeth Marquardt, she reported, even in the best of circumstances, children often suffer emotional scars that last a lifetime and have trouble with their own intimate relationships as adults. Children have to adapt to the absence of their fathers in the regular household and the new presence that is unfamiliar to the previous environment. The changes can be difficult for some children, and the pressure from the change affects the father and stepfather's role in trying to raise the child. When the biological father is still present, it becomes even more difficult for the child to respect the new figure in the home. Nevertheless, this does not mean that in all cases children will be affected negatively by the change in dynamic. In order to maintain a steady home, the stepfather must establish their role in the child's life depending on the situation of the family. With a biological father still present, the stepfather's role does not replace that of the father, but rather to maintain the two-home family dynamic and add to the support system of the child. Finding the role of a stepfather is a struggle, but can also be beneficial in the development of the child. In the article, The Effective Stepfather, a checklist to live by, the National Center of Fathering says stepfathers can have a profound and important leadership roles with stepchildren. So, even though the separation from biological fathers and child can be traumatic, the change does not have to be damaging to the welfare of the child. As Maggie Gallagher states in Normal Marriage, there is no evidence from social sciences that credibly disrupts the assumption that a child does better raised by his own married mother and father. Presently, traditional marriage has extended to those who are homosexual. Two individuals of the same sex raise a family together. Basically, a child can have either two mothers or they can have two fathers. Gay and lesbian couples make up 4% of adoptions, and about 73% of them have biological children through artificial insemination or surrogacy. This issue that lies is that a father provides essential contributions in raising a child. Richard P. Fitzgibbons reports fathers excel when it comes to providing discipline and play and challenging their children to embrace life's challenges. He goes on to describe the protection from fears that fathers can provide. So how can two mothers achieve these goals without the father in the mix? Maggie Gallagher explains the contract argument in parenting, saying that parents who choose to raise a child are the real parents. She says, "It is easy to make a baby, hard to love and protect and provide for children to adulthood. As this is the case, it is reasonable to assume that if same-sex couples have the financial and emotional readiness to have a child, then the role of a parent becomes more important than the role of a father." As I said in the beginning of my speech, being a father is one thing, and being a dad or a parent is completely different. Fathers can provide essential benefits to children's lives if and only if they choose to. Mothers are different in that aspect because of the physical connection, like because of the 9 months in the womb. A father and child's bond can be based on a connection that has nothing to do with DNA in some cases. You have step-parents who love their stepchildren as their own, and homosexual couples that love a child that they don't even know. Ultimately, a father's role in a child's life comes down to one thing, and that is love. If a father loves their child and makes an effort, no matter how minimal, it impacts a child's life that much more. Thank you for listening.